All right, everybody. Good late afternoon. What is going on? Hope you guys are doing well. And we've got a little bit of, well, it's not Seattle Seahawks news, but I would certainly call it a pretty substantial rumor and one that makes a good deal of sense and one that I think a lot of people have seen coming anyway. So I don't think there's any issue in talking about this at least, although we will find out for sure in a couple of weeks here. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks, more on them a little bit later. But we've gotten some information about the Seahawks' upcoming 2026 schedule. And this is something that I've talked about before. I've even written a Seahawks on SI article about this, where you look at the schedule for the Seahawks this season, and you think about what game would be the most intriguing to place on that opening Wednesday night. I said that I understand that you look at the list of opponents, the home opponents. I know you have division rivals, and there's always going to be appeal in getting a good division rival to open your season. The Cowboys are a big market team, the biggest market team, and they should at least be an interesting team. I don't know if they're going to be a good team this year, but they should be interesting. And you've got the Chiefs, who would be intriguing if Mahomes wasn't hurt, and the Patriots are the team you just beat in the Super Bowl, but the team that I really circled as being the best possible week one opponent for the Seahawks in terms of just like a football perspective is the Chicago Bears. Well, according to Michael Wilbon on Get Up earlier today, that is the team that the Seahawks are likely going to play in week one, the Chicago Bears. So we'll know for sure in a couple weeks. The schedule comes out in mid-May. I understand that we could just wait a couple weeks and we don't have to speculate. But this sounds like at least something based in a credible source. Obviously, we don't know for sure yet, but it seems like it's both a reasonable outcome and probably the correct outcome. So, Seahawks hosting the Chicago Bears in week one on a Wednesday evening. And then Thursday, we get the Rams 49ers game in, I want to say Australia. Yeah, the Australia game. And by the way, that's why we can't play the Rams and Niners, because they're playing in Australia against each other week one. So we are playing the Bears, it sounds like. That seems to be the early indicator. And I think that is the best possible outcome here, because I think that this matchup, in terms of football, is the best possible scenario for the first game of the year. This is the team that just won the Super Bowl in 2025, or for the 2025 season, I should say, against the up-and-coming hot young team in the NFC. The Bears I don't want to say they came out of nowhere last year, but they took big strides forward last season to get to the point where they actually won a playoff game, were in overtime in the divisional round, and whether or not they're going to be better in 2026 is not clear, but this is like the new young hot team. It really is. And to have the first game of the year be the reigning champions against the young hot up and coming team, I think makes more sense than anything else. I think there's more intrigue here than with the other games that it could have been. If you like sports, the best way to make them better and more exciting is using Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. Prize Picks, all you got to do is pick more or less on your favorite players' projections and build lineups with a few taps. It's the daily fantasy stuff, but it's made super easy over there. Whatever sport you're into, give it a shot. And right now, Prize Picks is hooking up users with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. All you have to do is use promo code HMA. I've had a great time on Prize Picks so far. It makes this daily fantasy thing very easy, and it makes watching the games way more exciting. Be sure to check out the social feeds feature so you can share lineups with your friends and tail partners, or even fade their picks. Right now, Prize Picks is offering odds on the NFL draft. You have who's going to go where, what each team is going to do, how many of each position is going to go in each round, and so on and so on. Get on over to Prize Picks. Take advantage of that. So, download Prize Picks today, America's #1 sports app, and remember to use the promo code HMA. And remember, always gamble responsibly. All right, so if it is indeed the Bears, I think that that is about the best possible outcome in terms of what you want to see on the field. You could argue that if you want the most possible fan attention, then want to be the Dallas Cowboys because the Cowboys have the big fan base and they are the biggest market team in the world, at least in football, I think. You could argue that a division rival would create a little bit more intrigue as well, as long as it's a good division rival like the Rams and Niners. But for me personally, this is the rivalry to watch. This is the out of the division, but within the conference rivalry that could really bloom over the next couple years. You've got Ben Johnson and Mike McDonald. Remember, those two guys were being talked about together a lot at one point. I know they ended up getting hired in different cycles because Ben Johnson went back for one more year to Detroit, but still, this is intriguing. Now, we do have another question to ask here. What are the Bears going to be in 2026? Are they going to be the ascendant team that they started being in 2025? Obviously, their offense should be quite good, but they did lose their starting center to retirement, and that was an unexpected thing. I know they drafted Logan Jones in the draft, but he's not going to be immediately better than what they had. What was his name? Drew Dahlman, I think. So that's going to be something of a downgrade. They shuffled the chairs around on the deck with their wide receivers, and they may have gotten a little bit better. I don't know. It's hard to know for sure. It depends on what you think of DJ Moore. But overall, I don't know how much better they got there. And defensively is the area where they really need to improve. And I love the Dylan Thieneman pick. I think that was a great pick. I think they have done some things this offseason that should help them. They've also lost some players, though. So, the 2025 Bears may end up being like a flash in the pan for all we know. I'm not ruling it out. There is some risk there. But as of right now, I view them as one of the most likely long-term threats to the other top teams in the NFC because they have that franchise quarterback who is so young. And by the way, I know that there's some consternation over it, but I am still a big-time believer in Caleb Williams, and I think he is going to be and already is on some level very special. But that and Ben Johnson by itself makes them a threat. And then you add in the other things that they're trying to build right now, and that is a team that I think can be very, very dangerous for a long time. I believe in that Bears squad, but at the same time, I think it's also good you play them in week one. Week one is going to be the game where you have the most aggressive and the most impactful home crowd, and your home field advantage is going to count for the most. So I'd rather get a team that I think will be good in week one where the home crowd can maybe take you over the top. There's a lot at stake in that first game of the season for a defending champion. You really want to go out there and defend what you did the previous season adequately. So the Bears look like they're it. We don't know for sure yet, but this is what I wanted. This is what I think is for the best. I know that some people will say, well, it should be a Super Bowl rematch. I don't care that much about playing the Patriots again. Especially with the offseason they had, I think that it would just be kind of the same thing. Their offense wouldn't be able to do anything against our defense, and our offense might get stuck in the mud a little bit against that pretty good Patriots defense, but I think it would be kind of a similar outcome. I don't think there's much exciting there. And that's not a rivalry, not really anyway. I don't consider it to be one. Just because we played in the Super Bowl last year doesn't make it a rivalry. All right. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think. Looks like we're getting the Bears in week one, Wednesday night. Let me know down below. By the way, I like the Wednesday night start. I think that's better for us. I know some people have been upset about that, but I think that's good. But go Hawks.